Hello and welcome to the Binge Thinker episode 60. My name is Jamil Raymond. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here as always. This week's episode, if you've been playing along at home, is episode number 3 in giving you my $30 million tech sales course absolutely for free. This episode will be focused on some selling now. What do we understand about B2C sales and B2B sales? This is a crash course in selling, what's involved in the process, how it affects you in your life, and then what it needs to be understood for people about how you're being sold to and how to leverage that to your own benefit. Also, understanding the differences between business to consumer selling, which is B2C, and then B2B selling, which is business to business solution selling. If you are on the YouTubes, you probably would have noticed a different little background. I am standing up this week because I have, not slipped a disc, but I've been slouching a lot and a bad back posture, which has resulted in me having, my back is seizing up, which fucking sucks, right? Over the last couple of weeks, I've, strained forearm tendons over like 2 weeks ago from doing too much work. And then when I decided to take a couple of weeks off and relax a bit, my back slips and my lower back hurts itself from not doing enough work and slouching too much. I can't fucking win, ladies and gentlemen. It fucking sucks. That's life. That is approaching your early 30s. What do you do? But enough about me. Let's learn and let's make this about you. Let's teach you. Let's kick this bad boy off. So, the fundamentals of B2C selling and B2B selling, aka sales, baby. What is selling? Selling is an art and a science, right? Because let's start with, why does sales exist? Sales exists because people have problems and they don't know how to solve them, and we have created commerce and markets around to solve those problems and those perceived problems. And that's been around since we understood what value is and could trade and could barter, when we realized I need that because I don't have this in my life. Pretty simple shit. You understand sales or being sold to, or understand what your needs are. So sales has been around since donkey years. They say that prostitution and sex was the second oldest job, or whatever you can do. So as long as people have realized they need needs, you know what I'm talking about. I'm riffing. But what is the difference between B2C sales and B2B sales, right? So that's the two main categories. So B2C is business to consumer. This is the type of selling that you'd be used to every single day. You as an individual having ads blasted at you on your phone, on the TV, the newspaper, on the walls. This is businesses trying to solve consumer-based problems, individual problems that you have in your family, about yourself, what you think of other people, blah, 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 blah. It's all about you resolving these unmet needs and wants within yourself. B2B selling is businesses selling to other businesses. Other businesses realize, shit, I need better software in my business. I need to improve my firewalls because one of my competitors got hacked and I know that I got the same equipment as them, so I should probably update that as well, right? The difference between B2C and B2B is predominantly B2B selling has a lot more logic associated with it, whereas B2C is a lot more emotionally driven. So understanding the difference between logic versus emotion is a great psychological tool in general, but is also extremely important to understanding the basis of sales, because that's where the art and the science comes in. The science is applying the logic of why you should be going with a solution you're trying to sell. The art is the emotion and the story that you can tell around the solution that you're trying to give to a customer and the way you present that. And that can be done a trillion different ways, right? We are sold products and services in a multitude of ways. That's what the advertising agencies are about. Think about every single type of creative that you see every single day around you, right? The variances of ads, colors, shapes, approaches, so many ways, right? Just like art, unlimited possibilities. The logical side is really maybe there's statistics or a direct problem you're trying to solve. or you have to provide a lot more rationale to why you are creating a solution for businesses, because they have more metrics and more to deliver as a downstream as a result of these investments. Often a B2B investment is significantly larger than a B2C investment, because consumer goods, the most expensive consumer goods are maybe houses or cars, but they're luxury items. Most of your consumer goods are your shopping or some new clothes or maybe some jewelry or something like that. B2B, selling business to business, who usually are looking to determine some sort of ROI on their investment, can be millions, can be billions, right? So, well, I think Instagram was bought for $1 billion back in the day by Facebook, right? Because they saw the strategic value in social media over a period of time. They thought they're going to get a massive ROI on that, which they did. And now they're trying to expand on that with Threads, which, is Twitter, which basically is just kicking Elon down because his Twitter is a bit sucky at the moment, from what I've heard. But again, do you want the Zuck dealing with all of your data all day, every day? I mean, you already are there with Instagram. They're just sort of expanding it out into a different interface for Threads. Anyway, that's me pontificating elsewhere. So, let's slow this down. B2C selling, let's start there, because that's the stuff that you have the most contextual information based on, because you are in the consumer land every single day. Now, consumer land, I hate the word consumer personally, because that's what it makes you sound like this insatiable capitalism machine, just consuming products and services and food, and you just think of those fat cats, or just like, someone that's morbidly obese just going, ha, 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 consumer goods, right? But capitalism is better than communism, because it's up to you to decide how you live your life and not other people. Anyway, divesting again. B2C, business to consumer. You're around it every single day. How do they get to you effectively, right? Again, we're talking about emotions. Emotions and your emotional attachment and perspective to a solution in sales is extremely important, right? One of the things I teach in the course is perception is reality. Even if your product is the perfect fit for a customer, how they perceive it, if they perceive it otherwise or don't understand it, or they have a preference for something else, it does not matter if they don't buy from you, because it's their perception of what they think is best for them. And engineering that perception towards what you are doing is most of sales. That is most of sales in a nutshell, is engineering their perspective, rewiring it to a point that they go, yeah, what you're offering me is the best thing, I will take that, okay? So what are we engineering? Often, like we said, sales is about the satisfaction of needs and wants. And those needs and wants are purely based on an individual's perspective, right? A perspective on their own lack, on their perspective on something they desire, okay? So, for example, the perception of people and what they value is extremely relative. And that is the great mystery when it comes to business to consumer selling, is that when you're selling to the mass market, when you're selling to the public, it's extremely hard to tick all the boxes of all the people that you want to sell to. So what's often done is in B2C marketing, and all sales and marketing should do this, is you create something that's called an ICP, or an intended customer persona. These are the people that you've based on psychological frameworks and analysis and your target demographic. These are the kind of people that are most likely to buy your product, and developing those. And by honing in on that, that makes you a very effective seller, because you understand their needs and problems the most. I've actually jumped ahead, so let's scale this back. Individuals, in their perceptions of themselves, of what they desire outwardly, incredibly individualistic. But you can just make generalizations based on gender, based on demographic, based on location, based on culture. And that's how you can improve the basis of where you target your marketing. But really, it's about understanding yourself really effectively. Because if you understand yourself in marketing and sales, and you really pick apart why you want things and why you're afraid of things and why you desire things, that makes you an excellent salesperson, an excellent copywriter, an excellent marketer, because you're using your own experience, which is really the experience and the feelings and the understandings of other people, as you as a fraction of the universe, of the collective, understanding it. To boil this down a little bit more, right? These individual feelings and these individual wants are completely determined by a person's individual environment and the way they've been raised and where they're at, right? And these perceptions are based on thoughts. Everything comes down to thoughts. The thought and their idea in their head that a woman goes, I'm not pretty enough. A guy goes, I don't have a nice enough car. I'm not showing enough status. People don't know how much of a fucking bigwig I am, right? These thoughts, these granular ideas, these things that create us to search for more, to want things, to feel a perceived lack within ourselves, that is the atom, the atomic level of where sales comes from. So if you understand, people's perceptions about themselves, you understand exactly what you can sell to them and why. Because whatever you believe, you are right. If you don't think you're pretty enough and you're a supermodel, you're right. And you're going to go out and buy products that help fill that perceived gap inside your mind about how pretty you think you are or the standard that you're trying to attain, right? The definition between what you need and what you want is incredibly blurred for most people, right? We talk about wants and needs when you're growing up, what's really important versus what you want. That can be blurred entirely based on the internal perceptions of your target customer, right? For example, in economics, we talk about one of the number one rules of economics is that the economy behaves irrationally. Why? Because we as humans that operate within society and the economy operate irrationally. Because our perceived notions of the things we want and the way that we value them vary greatly, right? For example, I'm not a car guy. So I could afford a nicer car that I've got right now, but I don't give a fuck because it doesn't mean anything to me. Whilst if someone was in the same financial situation as me and, loved cars, maybe they'd burn, 3 or 4 times the amount of money on a car than I would. All because of that perception in their head that I love cars and I will love to invest in them and they're what makes me happy. And that happiness, that emotion of the emotional association with the things that they like and dislike is what curries the favor of the solution that you're trying to sell them. So to go back, when you are out trying to sell, you need to really understand what do customers favor, what do they like, what do they not like, because that's going to help articulate and further define how you develop a solution for them. Because if a customer has already made up their mind because they're emotionally attached to a solution or a product because they love it, you're really just an order taker. You're nothing more than a checkout chick, right? For example, when I used to work at Telstra and it was time for the new iPhone to come out, I had customers coming in on launch day, get there 9 a.m., bang on, and they would be swapping out their phone every 12 months. Because they loved Apple so much. This is, it's almost 10 years ago. We're talking about 2015, 2016. We're talking about the peak growth days of the iPhone from, iPhone 4 to 5, 4S, 5S. Woo! Mate, printing money, Apple were. And so were we. It was just so easy because customers loved it and they were attached to it, and then that was it. That was it because, again, that emotional attachment is so strong, you're never going to break it. So, master marketers master salespeople in the B2C world, great copywriters, they all understand the emotions. What is an emotion? It's energy in motion, emotion, right? So if you know how to trigger, manipulate, articulate these emotions to people, you are an extremely potent marketer and salesperson, right? Because they feel the alignment of that energy in your message. It resonates deeply with that perceived lack within themselves and who they are, right? And because they resonate and they connect with you, your messaging works and they resonate with that messaging, that makes them motivated, energized, because that energy is flowing through them that goes, yeah, this guy's right. Oh yeah, this is exactly what I need. That is what drives them to make a purchasing decision, okay? So understanding the emotions, the frustrations, the pain points behind your customer as to why they feel like they need this product in the B2C world, in the business to consumer world, is extremely potent. It is 80 to 90% of your sales effort is being able to communicate, relate, articulate to your customer at a one-to-one level. Now, that one-to-one level isn't an even playing field, right? Generally, when we are procuring from someone, even though we like to say the customer is always right, the vast majority of the time, they are not right. They don't know what they want. They have this feeling that I should get something and they don't know the particulars of it, but they're driven by that energy to go out and do this. But you might understand this personally. Sometimes you go to buy something and there's too many options, right? And that's when the emotion is swept out of the way, and now you've got to make logical decisions about your purchasing decision. And this is when you think and you don't feel. And oftentimes, not that it's not a smart thing to be logical about the way you purchase and consume things in the market, this is what can break down your successful capability, your ability to succeed as a salesperson when that customer has to think too much about what they're doing next, right? It's when we talk about sales, particularly in complex sales and solution sales, it's all about making the complex simple. Why? Because customers and individuals only have so much bandwidth in their heads to articulate and go the what ifs and and delineate the different scenarios in which they would use this product and why they would use this product. And that's why organizations, when I'm doing B2B sales, some of my sales cycles can take a year because there's so many decisions that need to be made. And because there's so many decisions, there's so much logic involved, it takes away the emotion, the primary driver of what B2C sales is, right? About business to consumer. So when you can understand and relate to a customer and you can use emotions to drive a customer engagement effectively, you can ride the wave of emotion with a customer in B2C sales, you're doing a great job, right? It makes it that much easier. And I'll give you a perfect example, right? One of the great modern examples of B2C sales done well. It's the digital world, right? Let's think about Amazon for a second. Amazon and digital businesses have mastered the art of impulse buying, right? We've all done impulse buys. What is an impulse buy? You see something, you go, ooh, that looks pretty fucking cool. I'm gonna get that right then, right? Impulse, snap, right now, I'm gonna get that thing. And it happens to all of us. Plenty of impulse decisions have been made. Again, let's break down what an impulse is. An impulse is in the moment, okay? But what is an impulse? Pulse, right? What is that pulse? Energy. An energy pulse of excitement, of happiness, of, ooh, that ooh moment, right? We all have all of our great emotions are oohs and ahs and whoas and heys, right? That's how we process that information into the physical world, is often through these noises. Again, why? Because you're converting stored energy within your body and having to get rid of it somehow just to pass it through you. So you have to convert it into sound waves, right? Into screams, into gasps, into ahs. So the impulse buy is that big wave of emotion associated with your product, and you're going, gimme, I want this now. This looks good. But just like we talked about before, that impulse, that wave of emotion, that wave to buy something is impeded by the decisions and the obstacles and the options that are in the way between I want this and it's in my hand, right? Because when we want things, we want them now. So what did Amazon do to master this, right? They invented the one-click buy, right? Click to buy or two-click buys. They drastically minimized the gap between impulse and purchasing decision, right? This looks cool. I want the thing. I can have this now. Oh shit. With Amazon Prime, I can get this shipped in 2 days. Fuck yeah. Click. Bang. They have ridden the wave of impulse buy all the way to completion, and they do that extremely well, right? That's why these platforms like Shopify and using Google Pay and PayPal and Apple Pay, what do? They greatly minimize or remove entirely the friction in the sales motion, right? And understanding how to reduce the friction in a sales motion is one of the most important skills that you will understand as a salesperson and should understand if you're getting into sales, right? As an account manager, as a salesperson, your responsibility is to minimize that friction, right? And you have a bunch of levers that you can pull through experience and capability and knowledge and professionalism that can do that. And that's what we sort of talk about in more depth in the course, in the sales course itself. But in the B2C world, generally, mostly the B2C products that we buy are moving fast, minimal purchasing decision obstacles in the way, right? Think about self-checkout in Coles or any of your supermarkets. Again, minimizing those purchasing decisions. If you think about the lollies and the chewing gum that are at the counter when you buy, those are impulse buys, right? It's here, I'm paying, bang. Easy, $2-3 for Coles, for whoever, because someone just went, ooh, I'll take that, right? They rode that impulse wave extremely quickly. Same with Amazon, same with any e-commerce. I mean, in this fucking house right now, I probably spent $1,000 on dumb shit that was bought on a whim. We've all done it. And that is us not thinking about the purchase decision. We think we're thinking, but we're not directly conscious of that purchase decision. We're actually feeling, we're caught up in the feeling of being excited about this thing and catching that wave and going, yeah, this is great, I'm gonna get it now. Okay, so that's how Amazon, with their books, with all of their online retailing, have made billions or trillions of dollars because they understand humans, their desires, their needs, their wants, and we want things now, right? We want things yesterday. We don't like to wait for things, right? We are, by default, humans are very impatient. We want the thing straight away. And because we want the thing, one of the greatest challenges in any organization, particularly in B2C, is logistics and delivery, because there is this expectation that we've somehow created that we can't wait a few days to have our thing. We need it straight away, right? We need next day delivery. And we don't want to pay for the delivery. We've already bought the thing. We've already made the commitment to the thing that we want. Now you're going to layer more things on top of it for us to think about before we've made this decision. You're ruining the fun of buying stuff. And then businesses who are, again, desperate and hungry to make sales and minimize the friction in a highly competitive market go, yeah, we'll give it to you next day. You know, Amazon, fuck, there you go. Amazon Prime, have it in 4 hours if we stock that shit, right? We want the thing now. And because of that, logistically, you know, that's why Australia Post is going out of business, or, you know, couriers are always hard to find, because we want businesses have to think about how quickly they can get the thing with minimal cost, because ideally you've baked in the cost of delivery, if you're smart, into your product and its life cycle. Some people do, some people don't. It depends on what you're selling, right? If you're selling a high ticket item, of course you've got to build delivery into it. You build it into the margin, you get clever with your pricing, okay? So, wants, emotions, impulses. That is the basis of B2C sales done effectively. That is how you understand human behavior. That's why you need to understand human behavior, because you're selling to people, you need to understand people extremely well. That's why I talk about in this course, you want to be a people person in tech. You don't want to be a tech person, okay? Because no matter what it is, no matter what you sell, you are solving human problems. You are solving people problems, right? Everything is a people problem. Everything is a perception of a problem by a person, even in the B2B world, right? Again, understanding that lack, and we will never, ever run out of lack. We will only run out of lack when Jesus comes back and we realize that, you know, everything is useless. We don't need all these fancy things to survive. We can sing Kumbaya and be fully enlightened in the present moment. And that's not fucking happening anytime soon. So as long as you understand why people want things and the reasons why they want those things, you're going to be a very effective salesperson and marketer, okay? With B2B sales, that is about needs, logic, and structure, right? Because these investments take time, and that's what they are. When you speak to customers, B2B customers, about your products and solutions, never say cost, say investment, because that's what they are doing. Every product they buy is an investment to solve a problem that they have determined has some sort of ROI, whether it be productivity, whether it be adding to their top line or their bottom line financially, whether it's to de-risk their environment or their business, so they don't, so they don't pay a massive cost in brand, like with customers I'm dealing with now who have been hacked, right? There is always an ROI involved in a B2B sales conversation. And because there are so many stakeholders and there has to be a return on that investment, as opposed to you buying some dumb shit on Instagram, right? There's no ROI. You feel good, you might not like it in 3 weeks, and you fuck it off. Doesn't matter. You've invested your fund money, hopefully, money that you can burn. But businesses who are, stringent and tight and have to show profitability, they have that ROI on all of their investments. So because it's so much more logical about determining whether this investment, this solution is relevant and pertinent and valuable to them, there's a lot less emotions involved in the discussion, the conversation, right? But it's not gone entirely, right? There is still plenty of emotions to leverage inside a B2B sales conversation because, again, you are dealing with people, right? Everything is a people problem. They perceive that they need a new firewall. They perceive that they need to invest more into staff or into trucks, into whatever it is. These are all us perceiving based on hopefully maybe some data or maybe a new initiative from leadership about what we need to do to expand and grow the business. That's what's been fed down from the top. So because these purchasing decisions cannot be run by emotions, and there's so many stakeholders often in a purchasing decision, and all of those people have to apply their thinking brains to whether they've made the right decision or not, you can't impulse buy B2B. It's very, very rare. So I basically say you can't. You can't be like, come on, get it, on a fucking, 3 more firewalls or, another server or whatever it is. You can leverage it though. You can leverage people's emotions inside B2B sales. And how you do that is 2 ways. You do it on a personal level and you do it on a professional level. Okay? So this is where sales becomes a dark art, right? Is that, again, you are engineering and leveraging all the tools in your arsenal, all of the perceptions in someone's mind about who's and what and the options they've got to a way that shows your solution as the best one for them. Okay? So you've got to be very diverse and very broad about the way you approach customers, talk to them, and understand the ecosystem that they operate in versus the ecosystem that you operate in. Okay? So, when we talk about personal and professional perspectives of people in B2B, what do I mean by that? Everyone has an agenda, right? Everyone has an agenda in a business. If you're talking to an IT manager, their agenda is to make sure that the infrastructure in the business, the ICT, the information technology that's in the business is working properly, is delivering services, is resilient, secure, and is delivering outcomes to the business and to the business's customers. Right? An IT manager's customer can be internal and external, whether it be delivering great services to their individual internal teams to make sure that they can, send emails properly and the video chat works and they can use databases to do business analysis. Or maybe you're an IT manager that's focused on front-end development. You sell your products online and you've got an online portal to process orders and claims and whatnot. So you're focusing on delivering a great customer experience and making your web-facing servers and your customer-facing digital touch points, really simple and easy to use. So that's the professional perspective of an individual, of someone in IT. Personally, that can, again, be cut 1,000 different ways, right? What is someone's personal agenda in a sales process? That can vary, but it happens a lot. Some of the most common ones are, for example, there's a new CTO, there's a new Chief Technology Officer, there's a new leader inside the business, right? They've just been hired, they've come from another company, and they want to swing their dick a little bit. I'm being very honest and direct about this. They need to show to the business, they are eager to show to the business that their inputs are valuable, they're making an impact, they haven't regretted their decision in hiring these people. Because, if you're a CTO, if you're, a leader in a business, you're getting probably a very healthy 6 figures to be there. So the company's going to be looking down at you, the CEO or whoever hires them to go, perform, right? We're all under pressure to perform in our roles, particularly if you were in leadership positions. So the personal of the agenda of the new CTO in the business is to put in a whiz-bang solution or maybe shake things up the way that, as opposed to what things were done before. Or maybe they've got their preferred partners and solutions that they want to use. And that can displace you in an account because, this IT manager, this CTO has got their own agenda about what should be done and why. Or potentially, when you think about it like that, that's one of the key ones in B2B sales. And there could be a ton of them as well, right? There could be, I've had plenty of situations where businesses are covering ass. I'm speaking to a customer right now who is covering their ass after a massive breach and, needs to rapidly invest in technologies so they can re-articulate their trust in their brand by other organizations. So their agenda is to save their fucking business because the perception of them is very bad. Now, that's a professional agenda. It's also a personal agenda for a lot of these people, because if they get fired or the company goes under, their livelihoods are fucking gone. So, and do you think anyone wants to hire the CTO of a disgraced company that got breached? Does anyone want to be at the helm of a sinking ship that's ruined their brand and their perceptions? That incompetence sticks, and that can destroy your career, and that destroys a livelihood. And most of these people in leadership positions, they're used to the big money, right? Their kids are in fucking private school, and they like to holiday in Europe or whatever the fuck they do with their lives, and that's going to go all down the drain. So that's the agenda of B2B, right? That's the personal and professional agenda of B2B that can be leveraged, the emotions assigned inside the B2B world that you can twist and play with to your advantage when you're speaking to customers about the hows and whys, okay? So when we talking about these logics and emotions, values, we did talk about values before. Values is, again, a key part of this conversation on both sides of the fence, whether it be consumer or business. Because again, they're still people. They're people wearing different masks, right? The B2B, you could have a customer that's a B2B customer, right? But they're going to be a B2C customer, and everyone puts on a fucking mask when we're in business and sales. You can't say that at work, and you can't be your real self at work. But it doesn't mean that they're not humans behind the case, behind this all bullshit formalities, and go like to have ice cream with their kids in the weekend and have fun, right? We're still all human. We still have needs, wants, desires, and values that vary differently across us. And that's a real important thing to think about, right? Is never fucking forget that we are people. We are humans. No matter what you're selling to, no matter who you're selling to, you are humans, you are people. What does that mean? It means that don't treat them like a fucking checkbook. Do not treat your customers, do not have the dollar signs rolling in your eyes when they talk to you about their fucking problems, right? Because money is the exchange of value, right? Value is important and values is important. And if a customer can see that you value them as a person, that you are there to genuinely solve their problem, to help them, not just take money away from them, that does way more for your personal, professional brand, the longevity of you in business, and that compounds way more than getting a quick sale out of someone, right? Particularly in the B2B world, particularly if you're managing a portfolio of customers and a relationship seller, an account manager. Your long-term relationships and professional relationships and your professional brand are one of the most important investments you can make in for the rest of your life. Why? Because generally, you're playing in a small pool, because you're playing in an industry where your name means a lot. I've had customers that I've had at multiple partners and vendors, and they go, hey, remember me? And they go, yeah, how you doing? Good to see you. You work here now? Yeah, absolutely. Let's chat. Great. Boom. Mixed business. Why? Because one of the things I teach in this course is your personal brand is more important than your company's brand, because that's yours. Your company could stink and completely fuck something up, and I've had that plenty of times at my time at Telstra, where the back end of the business is clunking like shit and doesn't work properly, and I'm at the front end at the coalface going, sorry guys, it's fucked in there. I'm doing as much as I can. They go, I get it, mate. I can see that you're doing good things here. I appreciate the time, the effort, the energy. I can see that it's fucked back there. Great, thank you, right? And you can carry that well-being, you carry that in your back pocket wherever you go in life. And I'm doing that right now, speaking to old customers and friends and going, hey, I've got this new venture. Can you help me out? And they go, great, happy to, right? So when we talk about values, understanding what your customer values is extremely important, because that's the lever that you need to pull the most, right? Most sales, when you talk about the financials of sales, one of the deep concepts that you need to understand in sales is price versus value, okay? We're so used to thinking of sales as an approach to price and to money and to how much things cost. But if you understand what a customer finds valuable and you can twist the knife on that and really hone in on that, or articulate why your product is more valuable to them compared to the competitors, price becomes a lot less of an issue. It becomes a lot less of an issue. In fact, I call myself a value-based seller, right? I've sold solutions worth millions of dollars, right? I think the biggest deals that I've done is on the somewhere $3 million mark in the last few years. Big deal, right? And I don't blink at the number because I know how to articulate the value of the investment that I'm doing with the customer. And if they see that way, which they have multiple times, they invest because I know how to articulate the value over the price. And if you can, it's a seesaw, right? If the price is worth more than the perceived value, the customer is going to either negotiate on price or fuck off and find a cheaper alternative. It's your role as a salesperson to tilt that value versus price equilibrium in your favor and determine it's more value than price, to the point where ideally it's a no fucking brainer for them to invest in your product or invest in your solution. Okay? So, what are the main value levers that we can pull in both business and consumer sales to your benefit, right? What are the tools that you have in your arsenal to rebalance the price versus value conversation? I'm going to go back. There's two things. There's three main things. Two or three? No, this is why this is a draft. No, one is hierarchy, one is emotions. So it's two things. I'm going to talk about this again. People who have long time listeners to the show know I fucking love the hierarchy of commitment. Why? It's a fantastic social framework to understand what people are willing to invest in the most. And this is what we need to understand. What is valuable to people at a societal level that they are willing to invest in and what level. Okay? So, the hierarchy of commitment. Very similar to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, bottom to top. Okay? The four elements are money, time, energy, identity. The bottom is money, then next is time, the next is energy, and the top of the pyramid is identity. Okay? What does this mean? It means that money is the lowest form of commitment, okay? Money is a value commitment. These are all values, right? These are all elements of value, right? This hierarchy of commitment. Look at that, look like I just did Freemason's triangle or something into the camera. Doesn't matter, this is mostly audio. So on that bottom segment, we will happily commit our money to something if we like it, right? Think about the dumb shit that we've just talked about. The dumb shit you buy on Instagram, the impulse buy, the courses that you've bought and never used, right? All those things you've bought and never done, you go, yeah, I want that. I'll commit some money to that. And you never fucking use it. So that's why people are so afraid. It's so funny because you think that money's everything, but it's not. And that's why, which is so funny in comedy, when I was doing stand-up and running gigs, one of the biggest issues that the Melbourne comedy scene had was charging for shows, right? Because they did not value what they did. They didn't realize that a good time, a great show is valuable to customers, and they want to exchange value for something. They want to perceive a value worth exchanging in this. So even if you charge 10 or 15 bucks, you're much more likely to get an audience in than charging it for free. Because if you don't value yourself, then why would an audience, right? So post-pandemic, when we started charging for shows, we had better turnouts at the shows because people go, oh, they might not know who the comics are on the lineup, but they go, hey, this is like a pretty well put together comedy show. 10, 15 bucks? Yeah, that's enough for me to throw out to potentially have a great time and have some comedy. Boom, right? So money is the lowest form of commitment. The next thing on that hierarchy is time, okay? So what does that mean? It means that you should always be giving up money to save time, right? You should be committing money to save time because time is more valuable than money. Money comes and goes. It's a resource. It flows in and out of your life. Time, one direction. It burns and it's done. You're fucking dead at the end. Everyone dies, right? But money comes and goes, so you've got to always save, invest money into saving time. This is one of the key singular points that I learned when I was starting my entrepreneurial journey, right? One of the things that you say about determining priorities in your life, about what you should be focusing on as a CEO or an entrepreneur is you set yourself a set hourly rate. I am worth $200 an hour. And then you delegate, automate, or remove any processes underneath that value so you can focus on high value generating activities. Right? So you can focus on the thing that is worth $200+ per hour in your business, okay? So again, money to save time. What's the number one element of spending money to save time? Convenience. And convenience is one of the most potent value pools in sales, in society, in humanity. And we'll talk about that now. Fucking let's go. Convenience. People pay for convenience because they want it now, right? Standard shipping versus express shipping. People are going to pay more if they want the thing now, right? They want to save time. They want that resolution. They want to resolve that tension in their bodies about the thing that they need and to get it into their body, right? Whether that be food or whatever it is, just fulfilling that lack. 7-Elevens, convenience stores, right? You pay more because it's right there. You're saving time. Convenience is so powerful and so potent that it literally creates its own industry because that's how valuable time is to people, right? I want the thing, I want it now. So again, just like I'm selling this course, right? This sales course is me taking 10+ years of experience and distilling it down into something that's extremely convenient for people that are new in the industry because they're getting 10 years worth of time and 10 years worth of trial and error and what works, what doesn't work in 10 hours, right? They don't have to go through the pain of figuring out what works, what doesn't, what should I know about business, what should I know about people, what should I know about marketing. I'll tell you all of it in one place. Bang. There you go. Fuck yeah. Thank God. I need this. Let me buy this course. Right? You go on YouTube, learn thing in 30 minutes, learn a new thing in 30 minutes. Fucking great. I get everything as soon as possible. I've made enough fucking examples, right? But drill this into your head because convenience and efficiency is one of the primary drivers of the universe. And that's why we need to leverage it in our sales process and when we talk about technology as well. And we'll talk about that in a later rep. So money, time. The next rung on the ladder is energy. People don't understand this energy. What do we mean by energy? What did we talk about before? Emotions, energy in motion, emotional energy, right? We will commit money and time to good energy, right? We love someone. We're going to spend our money and our time on them. We love to go, we have a favorite musician, right? Great energy, love their songs, love the way it makes us feel when we sing and we dance. I'm going to go buy a ticket. I'm going to commit my money. I'm going to get a babysitter, right? I'm going to have pre-drinks with my friends. I'm going to take the night off work. and I'm going to go to this show, right? Committing money and time towards good energy. Hobbies, resolutions of any kind, right? We love to have good energy. The top of the pyramid, identity. What is identity? Very floaty concept, but extremely powerful. The human mind, the human ego, its core function is to define its identity. Who am I? What am I in this world? I'm trying to make sense of everything around me. Who am I? What am I? And this existential question buries into every single person's mind at varying degrees. Where people who don't, we're all asking, who am I? What am I? And once we define ourselves to a perceived identity and a set identity, our egos and our brains will reinforce that as much as we can. And if you destabilize that perception of identity in someone's life, it can be huge, right? That's when you see an ego death or a dissolution of a person whose identity has been removed, right? So we will invest time, money, energy for the perception of our identity. Give you another example of that. I want to be a comedian, right? Being a comedian is one of the fucking hardest jobs in the world. It's 10 years of being shit, doing terrible gigs, making no money, driving hours to open mics, to shows. You're probably losing money on this show. You're probably spending more in petrol than you get for the show itself. The crowds hate you. You're bombing. Your jokes stink. But you suffer through it because you want to be a comedian. Let's break that down. You're committing to no money. You're probably spending money on petrol and on eating out and staying up late. So all the activities associated with that, with transport, you're committing money. You're committing a shitload of time. You have to be out every single night doing gigs in regional towns, traveling for gigs, writing jokes, right? Energy. You're investing your energy. You are there when it fucking sucks. You could be shit for years, right? Once in a while, you'll get a good gig or a good joke that refills that energy. And you're like, fuck yeah, I want to do this all again, right? All for what? For the identity, for the idea in your mind of being a comedian, right? I want to be a comedian so bad that I'm willing to be poor, to invest all this time in my life, to go through all the suck, all for the idea of being a comedian. And you probably right now, if you're early in your technology career, you want to be in tech. You want to be a tech salesperson. You want to be a technologist. And you've invested your money, right, and your time in a fucking technology degree or some sort of undergraduate degree, your bachelor's, right? Maybe you felt really uncertain about whether this was for you, or you didn't really get all these complex concepts, or maybe you're in your first tech sales job now and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And you're confused and you're angry. And that's emotional energy, that's sadness, that's confusion, that's doubt. But you are committing all of this for this perception of your identity of being a technologist or a salesperson or a business person. So we all commit to this perception of identity. And to use it again, that example we talked about before, where the CTO of this company that's had a massive breach, right? Their identity is under attack right now. And that would be a fucking shit situation to be in. That your identity of not just being a chief technology officer, but if you lose your job and you're disgraced and you lose your job, there goes your perception, your identity of being a good father, of being a providing husband, right? Everything about the things you hold dear is at risk. Talk about parents, right? Everyone loves to be a parent. Everyone would die for their kids. Everyone will do whatever they can to reinforce the identity of being a parent and a father and a mother, and to be a good one at that. That's why there are billion-dollar industries dedicated to selling things to new parents, because that primal emotion and urge to protect and nurture their child means that they get irrational about the way they invest in their kids, right? And that's why they always buy the new car seat, and they buy new, the new bassinet, the new crib, the new toys, the new clothes. Realistically, if they were smart, they would just buy clothes or get them secondhand or not give a fuck, just get some clean clothes to share with their family, because their kids are going to churn through these clothes, between 000 to 3 or 4 in like 4 years. But because we must protect, our egos must protect this identity of being a good parent, we will invest the time, the money, the energy to do so, right? And yeah, it's all about those emotions and that perception. Perception is reality. People's perceptions of themselves is the reality that they exist in. If you think you're a fat piece of shit and you're a skinny motherfucker, that's dysmorphia, but that's a fucked up part of your perception, and that's defining your reality and how you operate and act within it. How do I know that? I've got dysmorphia, right? Anyway. It's a personal example. I'm sure you can think of those of yourselves. So, knowing that framework, plus, that identity framework, plus the emotions associated with the problems that you can solve with your salespeople, with your customer, that alone, that hierarchy of commitment, is underused and extremely powerful, right? Understanding that framework in people. Honestly, biggest piece of homework, take that framework, look around. Look around at ads, look around at people and how they operate and how they think and how they make decisions. You will understand that identity is crucial, if not the most important thing and reason why people operate, to reinforce their identity. So, yeah, that's what I've got about that, is identity. And then what are the other driving factors? Yes. So that's identity hierarchy of commitment. This is about emotional investment, right? So that's the way you can stack an emotional alignment with your product or solution to an outcome. What are the primary levers that you can pull to engineer, manipulate these emotions, right? I call this the carrot and the stick. It's the good and the bad way to do it. And I don't mean bad, but anyway, I'll explain. Convenience, we've just talked about. Innovation, new, more, faster, better. We are geared as a species to want more, to evolve, to get better. The most immediate way we can do that is to do something faster. That's why convenience is a massive value pool in your selling toolkit, is understanding how is your solution more convenient, more efficient, more powerful? How is it better? How is it evolving on the current state? How are you taking someone from where they currently are to where they perceive themselves they want to be, to go from island A to island B, right? And if you can do that faster, sharper, more efficiently, you've got a competitive advantage, and often that is extremely useful. Let's think about taxis versus Ubers. Ubers completely changed the game because they made it extremely convenient to get around and to get transport, right? Instead of looking around and hoping for a taxi or calling up 1-3 cabs, and it fucking sucks because there's a long waiting line and the people along the other end don't understand you, don't know where your address is. It sucked. As opposed to, here's my location, add my credit card, there's a network of people that want to pick me up straight away, bang. 10 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago maybe, let's call it 10, digital disruption was a big topic in technology and innovation. And it's just really digitizing shitty processes, shitty analog processes or inferior technological processes and making them more efficient, making them more seamless. Again, removing the friction from point A to point B, from need and want to fulfillment. That is what most innovation is, mostly around convenience and doing things smarter and better. So that's an extremely potent tool. That's the carrot. That's the incentive to do and to invest, because you're going to do the thing that you want faster, the thing you want better. The other side, the stick, is fear, right? Fear of missing out, fear of consequence, fear of, what's going to happen next, fear of the unknown, right? It sounds manipulative, and in some ways it kind of is, but really you're asking the question to the customer that may not have the answer. And you might not have the answer either, right? There are things that are just unknown, but if you can minimize the friction or shine the brightest light about getting from point A to point B, or maybe you show the fear but then provide the problem, which is what happens a lot in sales, right? Is you amplify the problem and then shine a light on your solution, then again, that's also an effective tool. And what are we doing here? We are leveraging emotion again. Fear is one of our most primal emotions. Since the fucking caveman days or before that, we used to be alert, on call for any fears, any don't do this, who's out there, what's wrong, the unknown, what is that? And as we've evolved, we've gotten smarter, but our monkey minds, our threat sensors, our egos are still wired to fear the unknown, right? So amplifying the lack and the fear associated with that, bubbling up those emotions, that, amplifying them, knowing them, twisting the knife is what I like to say. What I mean by twisting the knife, you get stabbed, that's a sore point. You twist fucking a knife in someone's body when they're being stabbed, it fucking stings. That is twisting the knife. That is amplifying the negative emotion that they have in their bodies, and people want to disassociate from that. They don't want to be aligned to that. They don't want to identify and be identified with the emotion of fear. So you leverage that about what if, these alternatives, they're going to bring more uncertainty. They're going to bring more fears into your decision-making process. They're going to introduce more risk into your life. Do you want that? Is that really the best option for you? Right? And how you introduce that fear is, again, stepping on the problem, really nailing into it. So playing with convenience and fear, the oohs and the ohs, right? Again, just emotions being processed through us, energy and motion. Those are the two predominant levers that you pull in a sales process, right? And yeah, it really is those two noises. It's ooh, or it's oh. That's what's going in the majority of people's heads during that sales exchange, through that, through a sales process. Ooh, I want to buy that. Ooh, I don't want that. And we do it every day, through every single process. But we are unconscious of it. And the people that are more conscious of it, marketers, salespeople, right, good leaders, when you understand people extremely well and that you're more conscious of it, that gives you a competitive advantage to be dangerous in market. It gives you an advantage to know what people think and want and do before they even do. And we don't like to think we're being hoodwinked in that way, but we are every single day. By every product that we buy, every solution we invest in, these are the core levers that are being used against us in sales. So to wrap it up a little bit, B2C versus B2B sales. B2C is all about the consumer, you as the individual. What are your wants? What are your needs? What are your desires? How well can I leverage and ride the wave of a perceived want and needs and perceptions? And how can I ride that wave of emotion, of positive association with my product or solution to you make a purchasing decision? That's the real core of what B2C sales is. B2B sales is how do I leverage logic and a bit of emotion and the tools that I've provided here. How can I leverage that over a longer period of time with more people to convince? And how do I play a third lever in logic versus emotion to lead customers down a path to a product or a solution that is best for them, right? And a good salesperson is not pushy. They're not pushing from the back. A good salesperson is leading from the front. Because one of the most under-leveraged perspectives of a salesperson, and this is what I talk about all the time in tech, is that I have experienced hundreds of technology strategies and dealt with hundreds of technology professionals in my time. And my role as a good shepherd, as a good salesperson, is to minimize the friction from problem to solution that I have probably done, in a variance of ways, dozens to hundreds of times before. So when I talk to customers and they see me as just a sales guy, I challenge that perception immediately. Because even if I'm speaking to an IT manager of 20 years, right? Maybe he's been in tech 20 years, maybe he's done 4 or 5 technology refreshes in that time, right? I've done hundreds. I've sold and spoken to hundreds of technology professionals about their problems and solved them very successfully over my time. So I reposition myself from a guy that's just trying to flog you a product to an advisor that has done, if you multiply these 20 years worth of experience times hundreds of solutions, I could have 20 times the amount of experience in technology and dealing with different types of technology than other professionals have. Right? I don't portray myself to be that way and be like, fuck you, I know what I'm talking about. But I'm leveraging what has worked in similar capacities, with similar industries, with similar people in the past. And that's why experience is extremely important in this game and why experience cannot be replaced, because you have learned what works, what doesn't work through the years of getting it right and getting it wrong over and over again. And if you are smart, and you are smart enough to keep a record of that and not just churn through another sales year, starting at $0 at July 1st or, your new financial year and just thinking you're flogging products for the sake of flogging products, as opposed to going, I'm solving problems and I'm getting better at solving problems for people every single day, then that's what makes you a fantastic technologist, salesperson, solutioner, whatever you want to be, right? So, yeah, that is B2C versus B2B sales. In a nutshell, some of the major levers we've got there, again, the hierarchy of commitment, understanding convenience, understanding fear, understanding an individual's professional and personal agenda in the game that they're playing, understanding that energy, emotions play a big part in this game. Perceptions play a huge part in this game. And in probably the next episode, or maybe the one at some point soon, we'll talk about perception and how perception is reality, but how we can engineer customers' realities to change their perceptions about who you are, what you do, what you can do for them in a conscious and ideologically beneficial way, right? I put this out here to help people create great solutions to help people. Not to be some fuckwit that sells them, way more than they need to because they've manipulated it so they get money in their pocket. Fuck those guys. I've worked with them. They're fuckwits. That's not what the world needs. And that's the episode, guys. That's the episode for this week. B2C versus B2B selling. Next week, we'll talk about, I think we'll talk a little bit more about, we'll talk about what it means to be an account manager. What are the essentials about communications? We'll talk about some more fun selling stuff. And I might talk a little bit more about the principles of tech sales as well. But if you like what I'm doing, guys, again, this will all be in a more polished format in the sales course. I'm actually rebuilding the platform that the Tech Sales Academy will be built on. But, share this with a friend. Share this podcast with a friend if you found this beneficial, found this useful. On the YouTubes, again, do us a favor, leave a comment, leave a like. It's good for the algorithms. Besides that, at Jamil J. Raymond on all the socials. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Hope this has been valuable to you. And I will see you guys next week. Ciao for now.